Tonight, we journey to a place where horror is not confined within four walls, but sprawls across vast, open fields and silent, wooded hills. We travel to a landscape soaked in the blood of over 50,000 souls, a place where the echoes of cannon fire have never truly faded, and the sorrowful cries of young soldiers still ride the whispering winds. We are marching onto the Gettysburg battlefield in Pennsylvania, a location widely considered to be the most haunted place in the United States, a sprawling, permanent scar on the American landscape. To understand why Gettysburg became a veritable purgatory for lost souls, we must rewind to 3 fateful days in American history, from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863. This small, unassuming town became the stage for the bloodiest battle of the Civil War. Over 165,000 soldiers from the Union and Confederate armies clashed in a brutal, desperate struggle for the future of a nation. It was a symphony of death, composed with rifles, cannons, and bayonets that would echo for eternity. Picture the scene: the sweltering heat of a Pennsylvania July, an atmosphere thick with the acrid smell of gunpowder and the metallic tang of blood. The very ground trembled under the roar of hundreds of cannons. The air was filled with the battle cries of charging men, the agonized screams of the wounded, and the sharp, piercing clang of steel on steel. For 3 days, Gettysburg was not a town. It was a colossal slaughterhouse, operating with horrifying efficiency under the summer sun. When the battle finally ceased, a deafening, profound silence fell over the landscape. But the sights left behind were more terrifying than the sounds of war. The final tally of casualties was staggering. Over 51,000 men were killed, wounded, captured, or missing. Fields of golden wheat were now stained crimson with blood. The bodies of soldiers and their horses lay strewn everywhere, beginning to decompose under the relentless sun, a gruesome testament to the battle's ferocity. The sheer scale of death was overwhelming. There were not enough people or resources to provide proper burials for the fallen. Many young soldiers were hastily interred in shallow, unmarked mass graves, with no name to mark their final resting place, and no final prayer whispered for their souls. They were simply covered with earth, their identities and stories lost to the chaos of the aftermath, becoming anonymous sacrifices on the altar of war. Paranormal researchers and psychics believe that a tragedy of this magnitude, saturated with so much sudden, violent, and painful death, unleashed an immense amount of psychic and spiritual energy. The intense emotions of fear, rage, courage, despair, and camaraderie were absorbed into the very soil, rocks, and trees of Gettysburg. This emotional residue created a permanent wound in the fabric of reality, a place where the veil between the world of the living and the dead became terrifyingly thin. As the final cannon shot faded into silence, it seemed that one war had ended, only for another, more ethereal conflict to begin. The soldiers who fell on those fields may have left the mortal world, but many believe their spirits never left the battlefield. They remain tethered to the place of their demise, forever replaying their final moments, their spectral forms still waiting, still watching, and still fighting a war that, for them, has never truly ended. The vast Gettysburg battlefield is home to several paranormal hotspots, specific locations where ghostly activity is reported with alarming frequency and intensity. These are the places that witnessed the most ferocious fighting and the most tragic deaths. Our first stop is a place whose name alone evokes a sense of dread: Devil's Den. This area is a chaotic jumble of massive, ancient boulders, forming natural trenches and hiding spots perfect for snipers. During the battle, Devil's Den became a fortress for Confederate sharpshooters who picked off Union soldiers from the strategic high ground of Little Round Top. The ensuing fight for control of these rocks was bloody and desperate, with brutal, close-quarters combat taking place among the craggy formations. Today, it remains one of the most unnerving locations in Gettysburg, a place where the feeling of being watched is a common and deeply unsettling experience for visitors. Many who walk through Devil's Den report their electronic devices malfunctioning inexplicably. Fully charged camera and phone batteries will suddenly drain, and digital cameras often fail to capture images, displaying only static or corrupted files. It's as if an unseen energy field interferes with modern technology. Investigators have also captured numerous electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, here, recording disembodied whispers of phrases like "look out behind you" and "fire." The most frequently cited apparition at Devil's Den is that of a lone Confederate soldier, described as having long, scraggly hair and a beard. Wearing a tattered uniform consistent with a sharpshooter from a Texas regiment, he often appears near an area known as the slaughter pen, silently staring at visitors with an expression of profound sadness before vanishing into thin air. Many believe he is still on duty, forever watching for the enemy. Directly across from Devil's Den is the strategic high ground of Little Round Top. This hill was the site of one of the most heroic defensive stands of the entire war. Colonel Joshua Chamberlain and the 20th Maine Regiment finding themselves out of ammunition and facing overwhelming odds, led a desperate, swinging bayonet charge down the rocky slope. Their courageous act repelled the Confederate advance and saved the Union flank from collapse. This location is saturated with the residual energy of extreme courage and sacrifice. Visitors frequently report hearing phantom sounds of battle, the crack of rifles, the shouts of officers, and the clash of steel, as if the battle is being replayed by an unseen force. Some people have even reported feeling the ghostly touch of an invisible hand on their shoulder or a tug on their clothing, as if a soldier is trying to get their attention. The most prominent ghost of Little Round Top is believed to be that of a Union officer on horseback. He often appears at dusk, a silent, solitary figure surveying the battlefield below, as if inspecting his lines, before slowly fading away with the setting sun. Apparitions of exhausted soldiers are also seen, sitting on the rocks, as if taking a brief respite from the fighting. Their translucent forms, a heartbreaking reminder of the human cost of war. One of the most tragic and haunted areas of Gettysburg is a site known as Iverson's Pits. Here, an entire brigade of North Carolina soldiers, under the command of General Alfred Iverson, marched blindly into a Union ambush. Concealed behind a stone wall, Union troops unleashed a devastating volley of rifle fire. Hundreds of men fell in a matter of minutes, their bodies piling up in neat, horrifying rows, just as they had marched. The dead from this one-sided slaughter were buried hastily in shallow, mass graves right where they fell. Today, visitors to this quiet field often report being overcome with an inexplicable sense of overwhelming sadness and despair. The disembodied sounds of moaning, weeping, and faint cries for mother are said to rise from the very ground beneath their feet, the last agonizing sounds of dying young men. Nearby, an area known as the Triangular Field served as a massive, open-air field hospital. After the fighting subsided, thousands of wounded soldiers were brought here for treatment. In the 1860s, with medical knowledge still primitive, the most common solution for a severe limb wound was amputation. Piles of severed arms and legs grew outside the surgical tents, a gruesome testament to the butchery that passed for medicine. Today, the agonizing screams of soldiers undergoing surgery without proper anesthesia are still said to echo across this field on quiet nights. The chilling, rhythmic sound of a phantom bone saw is another auditory phenomenon frequently reported by ghost hunters and terrified visitors alike. The apparitions of surgeons and nurses, their aprons stained with blood, have been seen moving through the fields, eternally tending to their spectral patients. Satch's Bridge, a beautiful covered wooden bridge spanning Marsh Creek, hides a dark and sinister history beneath its rustic charm. During the Civil War, the bridge was used by both armies for crossing the creek. However, it also served a more gruesome purpose. It was a gallows. Numerous deserters and captured spies were allegedly hanged from its heavy wooden beams, their bodies left dangling as a grim warning to others. Visitors to the bridge, especially at night, report a host of paranormal phenomena. Sudden, dramatic drops in temperature are common. Even on warm evenings, ghostly balls of light, known as orbs, are frequently captured in photographs. And the distinct smell of cigar smoke often wafts through the air when no one is smoking. These sensory experiences suggest the continued presence of the soldiers who once patrolled and died here. The spirits of the hanged men are said to be the primary haunters of Satch's Bridge. Their apparitions have been seen as dark, swinging shapes hanging from the rafters, or as misty, full-bodied figures walking the length of the bridge before vanishing completely. The phantom sounds of hoofbeats and heavy, marching footsteps are also heard on the wooden planks when the bridge is completely empty. A ghostly procession from a bygone era. Not all of the ghosts of Gettysburg are residual hauntings, doomed to repeat their final moments. Some spirits appear to be fully aware of the modern world, interacting with the living in what are known as intelligent hauntings. These encounters are often far more personal and unsettling. Visitors have shared countless stories of meeting what they believe are historical reenactors, only to have them vanish without a trace. These spectral soldiers, often dressed in authentic but battle-worn uniforms, will approach visitors and ask confusing questions like, "Is the battle over yet?" Or, "Where can I find my regiment?" They appear completely solid and real. After a brief, bewildering conversation, the visitor will turn away for a second, and when they look back, the reenactor has completely disappeared from the open field, leaving the witness stunned and questioning their own sanity. One of the most famous and well-documented hauntings occurred at Pennsylvania Hall, a building on the campus of Gettysburg College that was used as a massive makeshift hospital during the battle. One night, 2 female administrators were working late. Hearing the elevator operate on its own, they watched the doors open to reveal an empty car. When they stepped inside, the elevator bypassed their floor and instead opened onto a horrifying, full-sensory apparition. The modern hallway had transformed into a chaotic, bloody Civil War hospital. The air was thick with the smell of blood and decay. Wounded soldiers lay on the floor, their groans of pain filling the air. Doctors and orderlies in period attire rushed past them, ignoring their presence completely. The sight was so terrifying and overwhelming that both women fainted. When they awoke, the hallway was back to normal, the ghastly scene gone as if it had never been. Paranormal investigators have flocked to Gettysburg for decades, armed with sophisticated equipment to capture evidence of the afterlife. The EVPs recorded here are among the clearest and most chilling in the world. Beyond the typical moans and whispers, they have captured intelligent responses to direct questions. An investigator might ask, "What is your name?" And the recorder will play back a faint, ghostly voice saying, "Jacob." These recordings suggest that at least some of the spirits of Gettysburg are not mere psychic echoes, but are conscious entities trapped between worlds. They seem to retain their personalities and awareness. When asked what they need, the spectral voices have been recorded whispering pleas for water, help, or asking for a way home. These heartbreaking messages offer a glimpse into the ongoing suffering of souls who have found no peace in death. The sheer volume of paranormal evidence, from photographs of misty apparitions to clear audio recordings of spectral voices, is staggering. One famous photo, taken at the base of Little Round Top, appears to show the transparent figure of a soldier leaning against a tree. Another, taken in the attic of a civilian home used as a hospital, seems to show the ghostly face of a Confederate general staring out a window. Many of the historic buildings in the town of Gettysburg itself are also considered to be intensely haunted. The Farnsworth House Inn, for example, was occupied by Confederate sharpshooters during the battle, and one was accidentally killed inside. Guests at the inn report hearing mysterious footsteps, seeing doors open and close on their own, and encountering the full-bodied apparition of the fallen soldier in their rooms. The Jenny Wade House, where the battle's only civilian casualty was killed by a stray bullet, is another paranormal hotspot. Visitors on tour of the home report smelling freshly baked bread Jenny was baking when she was killed, hearing the laughter and footsteps of unseen children, and feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness in the room where she died. Her spirit is said to remain, forever tied to the site of her tragic, untimely death. So, what is truly happening at Gettysburg? Are tens of thousands of souls genuinely trapped on these hallowed grounds, unable to move on? Or are these experiences the product of overactive imaginations, fueled by the profound historical tragedy and the somber, memorial atmosphere of a national park? The answer likely lies somewhere in the murky space between belief and skepticism, a place where history and mystery intertwine. Even the most hardened skeptics, who visit Gettysburg often admit to feeling something unique and inexplicable in the air. There is a palpable weight, a profound sadness that permeates the landscape. It is the feeling of immense loss, of sacrifice, and of tens of thousands of young lives cut tragically short. It is a feeling that transcends simple historical knowledge and touches something deeper within the human psyche. Perhaps the spirits of Gettysburg are not here to frighten us. Perhaps their continued presence serves as a solemn and powerful reminder. They are a ghostly testament to the horrific cost of war and the precious value of peace. They are the guardians of their own memory, ensuring that the sacrifices made on these fields are never forgotten by future generations. The soldiers may indeed still be marching, not in a continuation of their earthly battle, but in a silent, eternal parade of remembrance. They march to tell their stories, to whisper their warnings against hatred and division, and to stand as silent sentinels over the land where they gave, as President Lincoln said, their last full measure of devotion. Their ghostly presence is a living history lesson, taught by those who paid the ultimate price. The next time you walk across a historic site, take a moment to be still and to listen. Listen beyond the sounds of the modern world, beyond the tourist chatter. You might just hear the echoes of the past, the whispers of those who came before. You might feel the weight of their stories, their joys, and their sorrows. A feeling that connects us all through the great, mysterious tapestry of time. As our march through the haunted fields of Gettysburg comes to a close, we are left with more questions than answers. The stories and legends will continue to be told, and the spirits will continue to make their presence known. They are a permanent part of the landscape, their ethereal forms as much a part of Gettysburg as the monuments of stone and bronze that honor their memory. They are the eternal soldiers,